Hi, R.J. Cooper here, inventor of special needs technology since 1983. Access for the iPad has been a mixed bag, but it's getting better. I'm all about iPad these days, as are most of you. Back in October of 2010, I released the first switch interface for iPad and started convincing and assisting developers to make their apps switch-friendly. Some did, some wanted to, and some just didn't have it in their game plan. If a developer didn't program their app for a switch, then there was no way to access that app by switch. My interface, or my super switch, several others had come out by then also, would only work with the switch-friendly apps. Let me show you one of my switch-friendly apps so you can understand. I'll move the switch poser, the gumball switch, and the switch interface out of the way. I'll bring my super switch into play here, and I'm going to launch an app called Scan to Pictures, and this is designed to teach early functioning persons how to communicate, sort of before AAC. I'll start Darren. Darren!
What now?
Farm Animals book. And my scan starts, and when I get to the one I want,
Tissue.
I simply click Crayon. Crayon. Darren!
You chose.
Crayon. Let's draw with your crayon. And I would actually have some finger crayons there so that we can give some real meaning and power to this early AAC. But I was using a switch, my super switch, which is Bluetooth, wireless, with a switch-friendly app. Then several other companies came out with switch interfaces that would also work, but through VoiceOver, a technology Apple featured for blind persons. And now I have also, but mine works a little differently, maybe even better than theirs. Let's start with how VoiceOver works. In my settings, I go to General and Accessibility, and the last item in there is called Triple Click Home. I have it set to toggle VoiceOver. Now back at my home screen, I can triple click my home button.
VoiceOver on. Landscape. Home button to the left. Messages. Double tap to open.
And as I move my finger around,
Count notes. Double reminders.
it tells me
Time.
what's underneath my finger.
Dog. Music.
I'll select music and I'll double tap anywhere on the screen.
Music. Previous track. Button.
And everything that's on the screen with a VoiceOver compatible app will speak as I move over it, and then I can double tap to select it.
Free. All right now. That company. Free live. 5:34. Downloading. Now playing. Dimmed.
And that's basically how VoiceOver works.
Pause. Button. Play.
But Apple soon found out that not all blind persons wanted to use the touchscreen. Most blind people have learned to keyboard by 5 years old, and they are used to keyboarding on their PCs.
Music.
So Apple built into VoiceOver the ability to control it by keyboard also. I'll show you using my VoiceOver controller, which simply types certain VoiceOver specific keys to the iOS.
Calendar. Saturday. Set notes.
And you can see that my right arrow moves me to the right,
Notes.
my left arrow moves me to the left,
Saturday, September 7th. Notes. Read on backlog. Videos. Contact. Games. iTunes.
Unfortunately, with VoiceOver, we do need to go left to right and top to bottom.
Page 1 of the dog. Mail. 34 new photos. Music.
And I'm down at music finally. I can double tap, but with the VoiceOver keyboard shortcuts, I have this set up to do the keyboard shortcut for VoiceOver for Select.
Music. Previous track. Button.
And now we're back
Play. Button.
into the Music app, which is VoiceOver compatible, and I'm operating it by using these VoiceOver specific keystrokes through my VoiceOver controller.
Pause. Play.
So how does this relate to non-blind persons with physical and/or cognitive challenges? Great question. First, for those that can push big buttons but do not have fine motor to touch the screen directly, or there's just too much on the screen for them to understand, my iPad VoiceOver controller is a good option. There are the special VoiceOver buttons, right, left, and select, and a few other VoiceOver specific functions. Now, here is a key element you must understand. All assistive tech input devices function as a Bluetooth keyboard to the iOS. That is, they simply type keystrokes. It's up to the iOS, as in VoiceOver, or the app, as in switch-friendly apps, to determine what to do when they sense a specified keystroke being typed. For switch-friendly apps, I sort of forced upon the assistive tech industry a standard of which keystrokes to look for. Fortunately, almost all developers fell in line so that we're all doing the same thing, which is great. With VoiceOver, Apple tells us what keys to look for. Okay, finally, on to switches. What we need, several other companies have figured this out also, is a switch interface, a device that scans through the possible VoiceOver movement keystrokes at a specified rate and types the appropriate keys desired by the user. So here is my scanover, scanning VoiceOver device. A quick look shows us a power plug. It has a rechargeable battery system for about 1 to 2 days of use, a speaker and a headphone jack, a front panel showing the status of the Bluetooth module inside, and a rear panel, which I'll face to you, showing all the scanning options. First, I pair it with my iPad, which I've done already, but I go into, I'm going to turn VoiceOver off for now.
VoiceOver off.
Settings, Bluetooth, and this particular one is one of the ones that's connected. And now my scanover is talking to the iOS. I plug a switch. I'll use my poser again. That's locked in place right now. A gumball switch, I'll plug it into scan. I have my volume almost full and my scan speed about 1/4 of the way for about a 2-second scan. And here I go. First I turn on VoiceOver.
VoiceOver on. Landscape. Home button to the left.
And by the way, the user can also accomplish all of that by themselves. Now I simply start scanning using AutoScan.
Calendar. Saturday, September 7th. Notes. Double tap to open. Reminders. Double tap to open. Maps.
AutoScan means things move automatically once I start them.
Double tap
When I get to the one I want,
double tap. Videos. Movies.
I click,
Back button.
and the iPad, specifically VoiceOver, thinks that I've double tapped. Another method is called step scan, which is in the instructional video I mentioned earlier. As long as the app is VoiceOver compatible, which most AAC apps are, then scanover will work. It even works with the iOS keyboard so the user can type into a message, an email, or an app. Scanover will also allow the user to use it as the simpler switch interface that we talked about with switch-friendly apps. In fact, the user can switch back and forth using what I call profiles. Some other features that I've created that others don't have: a special spoken menu that provides further choices and settings. I'll execute the home function with it. While doing that, notice another exclusive feature: and that is a way into this menu based upon how long the user holds their switch. But my trick is, it's adjustable from half a second to 2 seconds. Other interfaces require you to use their one only time threshold. So I'll hold the switch down. I have it set for about a half a second, I believe.
Menu. Jump. Forward. 6. Home. Jump. Forward. 6. Home.
Videos. Double tap to open.
As you can see, that executes the home button. That first item you heard is another exclusive feature, and that's called Jump. VoiceOver always makes you go left to right, top to bottom, which can get tedious. So I put a special feature in there called Jump. I'm at Videos now.
Menu. Jump. Forward. 6.
Now watch what happens.
Contacts. Game Center. iTunes. App Store. 6 new newsstand folder. FaceTime. Double tap to open.
So it jumped forward 6 items on the screen, and that's settable by the user or you. Nobody else has that. Remember, my threshold for getting into the menu is adjustable by you or the user from a half a second to 2 seconds. Another feature we have is called Quick Nav, which is very important in VoiceOver when you're in text areas. I'm not going to demonstrate that now. It's a little technical, but it's important to have it. Others don't have it. The ability to record these menus yourself. That's really nice to have your own voice there. The ability for the user themselves to change any setting. They can do it all through the software built into Scanover. And finally, and I believe this is an important one, the scan always stops after a selection. For some reason, with some of the other interfaces, it keeps going. I think that everything should be under strict control by the user. It is now September 2013. Sometime this fall, Apple is releasing iOS 7, which has its own switch scanning. Very similar to what we're doing right here. Scanover can work with that. Well, I think Scanover is better, especially the menu system, but they're both good, and Scanover lets you actually go back and forth between them at the user's control. Well, that's the basics. I hope you'll give it a try by getting one, and if that doesn't fit your needs, you can return it a la our 30-day guarantee.